rabbit hole where we talk about the most bizarre crime stories out there. I'm your host, Stacy, here to accompany you through this journey. So let's go ahead and hop into today's story. Today's story is about Rudy Eugene, also known as the Causeway Zombie. Rudy was born in Miami, Florida on February 4th, 1981. To Haitian immigrant parents. His parents separated when he was just a few months old. Not much is known really what happened to his dad those few years after his parents' divorce. All is really known as he died when he was about 6 years old. Rudy was raised as in a single parent home with his mother, who had a very strong Christian faith and instilled that upon him. And he grew a love for the Christian faith and looked forward to going to church on Sundays with his mom. While Rudy did seem to chill out as he got older, when he was a teenager, he was hell on wheels. He was arrested several times, the first time being at age 16 when his own mom had to call the police on him. He was belligerent, he was flipping tables over, and even threatened to put a gun to her head and kill her. She called the police. When police arrived to respond to the call that his mom made, they ended up having to tase him 3 times to subdue him and put him in custody. That's crazy to me. 3 times. He earned the award of the first person in North Miami to be tased by the North Miami Police Department. So congratulations. Rudy went on to graduate high school at North Miami High School and worked various jobs, fast food, telemarketing, and eventually at a auto dealership washing cars, which is where he was working when all of this craziness happened. He really kind of developed a passion for car detailing and wanted to open up a mobile car detailing business. That's all he would talk about to his girlfriend, his mom, his friend. And that was his aspiration for the future. He was saving money to make this happen, get the business license, the supplies, and all of that. So he was working towards this business idea that he had. In Rudy's early 20s, he married and divorced his high school sweetheart. The wife cited DV as one of the grounds for divorce and later described Rudy as having a very conflicting personality. He always felt like somebody was after him, somebody was trying to do him wrong. She really didn't think anything of it, at the time. He just had a weird personality quirk or insecurities. He later went on to meet his girlfriend at the time that he passed and loved spending time with both she and her child. According to her, he treated her child as his own, but really, kind of took the kid under his wing and was a male figure in their life. Rudy's friends have described him as very caring, very affectionate, a good guy. After all of the stuff that I'm going to tell you about happened, they claim they never would have ever thought he could ever do something like this. That he was just, the regular guy, friendly, loved by everyone. On May 25th, 2012, Rudy spent the night at his then girlfriend's house, which was located in Miami Gardens. He had plans to go to the Urban Beach Weekend on Miami Beach, which is a Memorial Day festival, music, food trucks, just a lot of fun. His girlfriend reported after the incident that he did wake up the morning of the incident in a panic. He was rushing around, grabbing clothes, throwing them in a bag. She thought maybe he was running late for the event or maybe picking up his friend that he was supposed to go with. So she really didn't think too much about it. She kept sleeping, and didn't think anything of it until after the event, that maybe something was going on with him. Maybe he had accidentally taken drugs. Someone had given him drugs. So we know that Eugene's friend that he was supposed to go to Urban Beach Weekend actually canceled on him, saying that he had to work. So Rudy ended up going alone. He went to Urban Beach Weekend with no problems, had fun. He was leaving the Urban Beach Weekend party on Miami Beach. He had parked his purple Chevrolet Caprice on 10th Street and Alton Road, and when he got to it, it wouldn't start. It's not real clear why he decided to just hoof it on foot back to his girlfriend's house. It wasn't that far, but definitely I wouldn't walk it. It was about 2 miles. It's Florida in May. It's sweaty. It's hot. 1 out of 10 stars, would not recommend. Nevertheless, he decided to just walk the rest of the way. And to do that, he had to cross the MacArthur Causeway, which connects Miami Beach with Miami. He's walking across the causeway, and drivers passing by do report that they seen a man stripping. He's taking his clothes off, throwing them in the road. He threw his wallet, his Bible, basically everything that he had on him, even his skivvies, in the roadway. So as Rudy's walking, up ahead is Ronald Popo. Ronald Popo is a gentleman that has been living on the streets for upwards of 40 years. He has seen a lot. He's seen drunk people walking across the bridge, people on drugs. As you can imagine, coming across that causeway, he took residence underneath the Metro Mover, which is like a sky tram in the Miami area. So Rudy's behavior as he approached didn't alarm him like you would think it would. As Rudy approached Ronald, he began mumbling about, "Why did you steal my Bible? We're all gonna die." And again, Ronald's seen a lot of stuff living under the Metro Mover. So he's not alarmed. He's thinking he's just going to keep walking by. No harm, no foul. Unfortunately, for reasons really unknown, even to this day, Rudy jumps on top of Ronald and began essentially eating his face. He bit his nose off. He bit his cheek. Eventually, 80% of Ronald's face was devoured by Rudy. So Rudy had actually met Ronald prior to this incident. It's not really clear whether he remembered meeting him or just thought he was a stranger. But Rudy would often volunteer at the local homeless shelter in Miami and that is where Ronald would frequently eat at. So Rudy had at one point served Ronald his lunch at the homeless shelter. A passerby on a bicycle saw the incident happening on the causeway and did attempt to stop and help. But Rudy was out of control. He was ripping off Ronald's clothes and just tearing into him, and actually growled at the bicyclist, which I'm sure scared the living daylights out of him.
So I told him, get off. You know, it's like, and the guy just kept eating the other guy away, like ripping his skin.
If I'm on a bike and I'm riding around and somebody is attacking somebody and they growl at me, baby, he's yours. I'm gonna call the police. I'm gonna do the right thing, but I'm not gonna stick around and be the next one. That's not gonna happen. Police arrive about 18 minutes later and try to intervene between Rudy and Ronald. They intercept between them, and they do eventually get him off of Ronald. And then now they've got him to deal with. Just because he's off Ronald doesn't mean that he's calmed down. He still wants some flesh. Eventually, they discharge their weapons.
Finding out a drug ban just last year in Florida could be to blame for both these incidents.
This latest case in Miami is shocking, and we've got to warn you, downright disturbing.
Initially, everyone, including the media, the public, police, all assumed that bath salts were going to come back on the toxicology reports, because I guess it's normal to become a flesh-eating zombie when you're on bath salts.
Story out front tonight. Drugs known as bath salts being blamed for a gruesome scene in Miami. This is a naked man. He was shot dead on Saturday by police because he was gnawing off another man's face.
Police do say that his behavior during this event, stripping his clothes off, was very on point with someone who is on bath salts, because it raises your body temperature. So you want to strip your clothes off because you're burning up from the inside out. Another factor that made police believe that it was a bath salts incident is the fact that he seemingly developed superhuman strength out of nowhere. He wasn't a super muscular guy, but the way he was able to fight off the police and fight with Ronald Papo displayed that he had just some kind of superhuman strength going on that typically comes from bath salts. If you're not familiar with bath salts, it's a synthetic chemical that, from what I've researched, mimics the effects of both cocaine and methamphetamine. So it hypes you up and also makes you hallucinate. Toxicology reports eventually come back on Rudy and show absolutely nothing except marijuana. There were reports of undigested pills, but they could never determine exactly what they were. Police say that they still believe it was a bath salts incident, and that in reality, they can only test for about 40 different chemicals that bath salts can be made from. Every day there's more compositions being developed to alter the formula or the recipe for bath salts. So it's just really impossible to keep up with it as far as testing goes. Bath salts were once sold in convenience stores and gas stations as plant food, fertilizer, and you could walk in, get you a soda and some bath salts for the night for about $15. It's mind-blowing how this loophole was allowed, but that's for another day. So just like the public, Eugene's family was also left with a lot of unanswered questions. You know, the toxicology reports came back negative. Yes, the police said that, you know, there are a million different ways to make bath salts. They can't test for it. But at the end of the day, there were no answers definitively given. His mom has the stance that he was drugged and he was overheated in the hot Florida sun and began hallucinating, and that's why he did what he did. His girlfriend has a different take on what may have caused Rudy to act so out of character on the day of the attack. She believes that voodoo played a role in it. Now, voodoo is a religion practiced in parts of the Caribbean and especially in Haiti, from where his parent descended from. It combines the elements of Roman Catholic rituals with traditional African magical religious rites. And it's characterized by sorcery and spirit possession. And that's what she thinks may have happened to him. Maybe he was possessed by an evil spirit. Ronald underwent several reconstructive surgeries to restore proper breathing and proper eating.
Pleased to report to all of you that he's feeling well. He's eating. He's walking around with physical therapy. He's talking with us.
Intriguing enough, he actually refused further reconstructive surgery to help with the cosmetics of his face, and really just expressed his gratitude for the rehab facility restoring what they already had, his ability to eat and talk again. Nowadays, he spends his time in the rehab facility where he was granted lifetime residency. Ronald reportedly spends his day learning to perfect the guitar and talking with his nurses. Unfortunately, Ronald kind of had a checkered past himself and doesn't have a whole lot of family. Ronald attended a top-tier public school in New York and went on to graduate high school and attended college locally, but ended up dropping out about a year into it. He got married and ended up leaving both his child and his wife when his child was only 2 years old. They never heard from him again and basically stayed estranged from him her entire life. His daughter did try to seek him out in her early 20s, but was really unsuccessful and had really all but forgotten about him until after this incident happened. And of course, media was contacting her. She was actually surprised to hear that he was still alive. She had assumed that he had passed away and was kind of just going on with life. The only person in Ronald's family that he really does have communication with is his sister. She is the only person that he'll actually accept calls from at the rehab facility. His daughter did mention that she would consider possibly having some type of a relationship with him in the future, but understandably, it's going to take some time for that to happen. Me, I I'm really torn on this story because one hand, Rudy was a great guy, seemingly up until this incident. He had, like everybody else as a teenager, did some stupid things, but for all intents and purposes, he was a great guy from what everybody has said about him. I kind of tend to lean with his mom that maybe he was given drugs at this Urban Beach weekend unknowingly, and this is what happened. That is the story of Rudy Eugene, the Causeway Zombie. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if you like content like this, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single episode. Have a great day.